So, what if the weight of leadership wasn't just some metaphor, but a real physical burden you literally had to carry? We're about to dive into this incredible folktale from China's Ming Dynasty that explores exactly that. It's a story about a terrible drought and a magical staff, sure, but the real magic? Well, that lies in its powerful lesson about what it truly means to be a leader.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story cheeks off on Li Chun, which is the very first day of the traditional Chinese spring. This should be a time of renewal, when the frozen ground is supposed to thaw and everything starts coming back to life. It's a day that should be absolutely buzzing with hope for the season ahead. But for the people of Wulong County, there is zero hope. None. Instead of new life, they're facing a once-in-a-century drought. The land is just completely scorched, the soil is cracked and hard as a rock, and every single well is bone dry. So that promise of spring, it feels more like a really cruel joke. I mean, this situation was so bad, the original story calls it a great drought demon. Not a single drop of rain had fallen since winter. The ground was baked as hard as iron. Get this, so hard that when farmers tried to dig, their tools would literally create sparks against the soil. The people were on the absolute edge of survival.
And this is where we meet our main character, Magistrate Zhang Dashan. Now, in Ming Dynasty China, a magistrate was the top local official, responsible for pretty much everything. So, with his county in crisis, what was his biggest worry? Well, yeah, the spring planting, but mostly because if it fails, he's going to lose his job. His focus isn't on his suffering people, it's on protecting his own career. So, in one last desperate move, Magistrate Zhang goes to the city gate to publicly pray for rain. And it's right here, at his lowest point, that a very strange figure emerges from the crowd, a figure who is about to change absolutely everything.
A ragged-looking beggar starts singing this really bizarre, cryptic song. It's basically a riddle, and it seems to hint that the answer isn't up in the sky. It's sleeping deep inside the earth. He sings about a gourd that can hold all the seas and an iron staff that can pin a dragon. He's offering a solution, but it is wrapped up in a total mystery. So the magistrate walks over to this beggar, who has a limp and is carrying this big gourd and a heavy iron staff. And the beggar says the underground Dragon King isn't gone, he's just asleep, and this staff is the key to waking him up. You just gotta love the contrast here. The beggar is super confident, almost amused by it all, while the magistrate is just drowning in desperation. Magistrate Zhang, who is seeing this as probably his only chance to save his career and, his county, he accepts the beggar's very strange challenge. The task sounds simple enough. Just carry the beggar's iron staff to a dried-up well in the middle of the city. I mean, really, how heavy could it be? Zhang is an official. He's not a bodybuilder, but it's just a staff. He steps up, all ready to solve this crisis with a simple show of strength. No problem, right? Wrong. He can't move it. He strains and he strains until his face is purple, but the staff does not budge. It's like it's grown out of the center of the earth. So he calls over his strongest bailiff, a guy who can lift a massive 200 jin millstone. He gives it a shot, and he fails too. The staff is just impossibly heavy. And this is where the beggar reveals the secret. He calls the staff Min Xin Zhongdan, which translates to the people's heavy burden. And he explains that its weight isn't physical, it's moral. The weight is tied directly to the heart of whoever is trying to lift it. If your heart is full of your own ambition, it's impossibly heavy. But if your heart is full of genuine concern for the people, it becomes light. Wow. You can just imagine those words hitting Magistrate Zhang like a physical blow. He's just flooded with this profound sense of shame. Right there, in front of everyone, he falls to his knees and makes a public vow, not to the gods, but directly to his people. He promises to change, to serve them, and only them. And this is where the story's whole point just brilliantly clicks into place. When Zhang reaches for the staff again, this time with a heart that is full of true remorse and this new commitment, he can lift it. It's still incredibly heavy, don't get me wrong, it's a true burden, but now it's a burden he can actually carry. So, with the staff finally in his hands, Zhang begins this painful journey to the city's center. He's staggering under the enormous weight, and every single step he takes leaves a deep footprint in the hard earth. A perfect physical symbol of the burden he's now truly accepted. His destination is just as symbolic, the withered dragon well. This is a place of forgotten hope, a water source that has been completely dry for half a century. If there is anywhere in Wulong County that represents total hopelessness, this is it. When they get there, Zhang shoves the staff into the well, and the entire townie seems to shudder. Then, the beggar unplugs his gourd, and a huge column of water pours right into the well. A second later, the ground rumbles, and the withered dragon well just erupts, shooting this giant fountain of fresh, clean water high into the sky. The effect is instantaneous. It's magical. The water, which is described as sweet and even carrying the scent of medicine, flows through all the dry channels and fields. Withered crops immediately turn green and stand tall again. The people, just overcome with pure joy, rush into the water, celebrating the return of life to their land. So, in the middle of all this celebration, Magistrate Chang turns to thank the mysterious beggar who made this all happen. But the man has just vanished. Poof, gone without a trace. He's not entirely gone, though. A voice echoes down from a cloud up above. It's the beggar. And it turns out he's actually Li Taiguai, one of the legendary 8 immortals from Chinese mythology. And he delivers one final, powerful warning to make sure the lesson sticks. Leadership is a sacred trust. And you know what? Magistrate Zhang takes this lesson completely to heart. He becomes a true public servant, even going out and working in the fields himself. And as a result, Wulong County thrives, and the story of how he lifted the people's burden is passed down for centuries as a lesson for all future leaders. So the ultimate takeaway from this amazing story isn't really about magic or immortals at all. It's that the real miracle wasn't the water shooting out of the well, it was the change in the magistrate's heart. The true source of prosperity for any community is a leader who is willing to sincerely carry that heavy burden of their people's welfare. Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. Whether you're a manager or a parent or a community leader, this story asks all of us to look at our own responsibilities. What is the true weight that you are meant to carry, and are you lifting it with the right heart?